and welcome back to a very tired but committed me. I have come back from work and I was gonna sit down and do a first impression review type of thing of something that I got over on, I think it was Black Friday. I don't know how I've actually managed to keep my hands off of this because I've been so excited to try it. I'm going to be trying out for the first time / reviewing the Natasha Denona's Metropolis palette, and I'm extremely excited. I have tried some of the shades of this one, which I also got over the holiday weekend around there. I haven't fully kept my hands off of this one. I used this one on Christmas and New Year's Eve, I think. I don't know if you can see, but I dipped into this one, this one, this one, and this one. And I have yet to dip into this, which I'm extremely excited about. I've only dipped into some of them, and I'm really impressed so far. Or at least it seems like up to par with what everyone's been saying. I haven't not been disappointed whatsoever. But I haven't touched this one. I haven't swatched it. I haven't touched it. I haven't done anything. And I'm really, really excited. So this is what the palette looks like. And it comes with the usual little plastic sheet that has all the names on it. The net weight of this palette is 38.45 grams and 1.35 ounces, as it says down in the bottom. On the back, you have a list of all the shades and the names, and also what the shades contain, as in the ingredients of the shades or the different type of shades. So the different type of shades have their ingredients. You can see the shades and what category of this they're in on the back side of the little plastic carton. And then there's the actual palette. It's not that big. It's like the two of my palms together. The Sunset palette, the Sunset palette, it's a tiny bit wider, and it's a little bit shorter in height, but it is a little wider. The size of this is almost like a shorter A5 paper, and this is a little bit taller, but more slim. Slim was the word I was looking for. So I haven't tried any of these. I don't think I will be swatching because, in all honesty, I don't really think a swatch helps you see how a shadow performs. It more so helps you see the color up against a skin tone. And there's so many swatches of this online and everything. And also, I'm not sure if you can get it anymore because it was limited edition. So I'm just gonna try it out and you'll see my reaction to it, and maybe see what look I create. If I do more than one, I might do one on each eye to try as many as possible. I'm sure most people are probably watching this more so to see maybe what I think of it, if I agree with whoever has tried it or not, and what look I create with it, because that's what I usually do when I watch reviews. So swatches, there are plenty of them. You can just Google up or search on YouTube for any swatches of it, and that's that. And I'm going to get into it. I saw somewhere that she has built this up as if you can go down the middle row and then row by row out to either side and get a look in that way. I'm not sure if I personally agree with every single one of those. I think, for example, this row could work, but for me that works with either the really deep green and one of these, this paired with this, or this paired with this, or maybe this all over the lid and then this just in the pop, just as a pop in the middle or in a corner, and this maybe underneath the eye. But I'm not one to usually blend lots of shimmer up in my crease. I don't know why. I don't really love how that looks on me with hooded eyes. I kind of feel like it goes everywhere if I do that. I feel like it looks unkept when I do that. But so that's one of the thoughts that she's had with this, which is interesting. So I'm going to dig in. I'm going to take a small fluffy blending brush. This is stained. I'm so sorry. I think I'm just gonna take a little bit of this since I'm wearing the makeup that I've been wearing all day. I've had this to work since I put this on, I don't know, 7:30 today. And it's been on ever since then. And now it's, what time is it? It's 18:36 now. So it's been on for a few hours. I think I'm just gonna take a little bit of this shade right here, which is, what shade is that? And I'm just gonna matte my crease out a little bit with that, so it's a little bit easier to blend. And I'm just tapping in, and then let's see what happens. Oh, it actually added some color. I thought that was gonna be like my skin tone. That's a bit deeper than I expected it to be, but I guess it kind of does look light compared to the other colors in the pan, but it's actually not that light. Okay, I think I'm going to do a green eye and a blue eye. So I am then gonna go in with the shade out in the deep left corner. I'm gonna go in with this one, which I think is called Azoic, if I pronounced that correctly. I doubt I did. And I'm just circling it on the outer edge. Okay, done. I also noticed with her shadows that you can kind of just lay them down and then just like fluff the edge of it, and it's gonna be like perfect. They're kind of like foolproof. I forgot that I was doing one eye each, and I just realized that now. I am now going to go into this one, which is called Rissom. Going in with a slightly more packed brush than the really loose fluffy one. I'm going to go in with a lighter green one, which is called Lethal. And I'm just going to put that on one side of the brush and keep the other side clean. And I'm just gonna do that on my left eye. And then I'm going into this one at the top, which is called Troop or Trope. I'm pretty sure it's Troop because it's 2 O's. And I'm going to put that in the crease. And after that, I am going to go into Royal. Is this going to be a blue or a green? That's a green. And I'm going to grab a small little packing brush with sable hairs, and I'm just gonna pack that on the edge. We are apparently no longer playing around. I'm going to go back into Lethal, this one with the other side of that same brush, and I'm going to pack that right on the corner of that shade to kind of use them a little bit. I'm not sure if that worked. A little bit. Not sure they overlapped very well though. A little more of Royal. And Lethal again. And then I'm going to take Shield, which is this one, and then I'm going to put that one over top of that. And I'm going to pack that in the remaining of the lid. That's pretty. Let's hit that with a bit of Plus and see what happens. Oh, it definitely makes it deeper in tone. I don't know if that's because I didn't really build it up that much before I spritzed it. Maybe you could have gotten it this dark, but that really shows the color of the shade beautifully. And now I have basically gone over what was there of lethal. I'm going to go in with a mixture of lethal and troop, and I'm gonna just reinforce the crease a little bit in here. And I'm also gonna put a bit more of lethal here on the outer part to bring in a bit of that green. Okay, there we go on the top. And now I'm going in with a little bit of Orium over the top, right in the middle. That same brush that I used for shield, and I have not spritzed this yet. It adds some nice shine, like a glitter shine. I'm going to spritz it a little bit, partly to get more effect from it, but also that it doesn't, since it's more of a glittery, like pearlescent shade, I want it to not be on my face. I want it to stick to my lid, so I spritz it a little bit, and you're also gonna get way more out of it when you do that. Okay, it makes it kind of look wet. I feel like I may have taken that shimmer a little too far up for my own comfort zone. I'm just wiping those brushes off a little bit, and now I'm going in on the other eye. What to do? I want a blue eye on this eye, and I'm going to start with Pure, which is a neutral toned brown from the looks in the pan over here, maybe leaning more on cool actually. And I'm just gonna dip into that, and I'm gonna start by stamping it. Oh my god, I didn't do anything beneath the eye. Cut! And now I'm gonna do the underneath. I think I'm going to take Noble, which is this almost grayish color with a little bit of a green undertone. Because it's somewhat neutral, and I'm hoping it can help me neutralize the bluiness a little bit. It probably won't, but that's my want with it. It's actually pretty. I'm going to go in with a tiny bit of Royal and mix that with a little bit of lethal just on the outer corner, to kind of tie them together a little bit. I'm gonna just wipe that inwards, and then, oh, I think I got some of that in my eye. And then just blend the edge with whatever's left on the brush. And then I'm just deepening that further with this one, which is called Antique. Okay, you know what? I think I'm just gonna go straight in with Enigma. So I'm taking some of Enigma on like a packing brush. I think they call it a shading brush. But I'm gonna use that on the outer edge. Kind of just pack that on the lid. There aren't really any like lighter matte blues. I don't think this one's that much lighter, but I'm going to grab some of this in hopes some of this one down here, which is called Symbol, a little bit on the same brush, and I'm gonna pat that on the edge in hopes it's a little less vibrant. It is a little bit lighter, so that's good. Grabbing a little bit more of Symbol on a fluffier brush, just on the edge, I'm gonna just swipe over that. And this turned a lot smokier than I had anticipated. I'm gonna grab a little bit more of Pure again, which is this lighter, more cool tone brown, and I'm going to go on top of the blue that we have in the crease, and not bring it higher because it has already traveled. I mean, we got blue all over at this point, but that's fine. Which one of these do we do? I feel like since it got a little bit out of hand, I feel like the bright accentuate that, but I also really want to try the bright blue. This is also a color that I'm really excited to try, but it doesn't really fit in these looks, but I'm decided now. I'm going in with this one. Grabbing some of that on that same tiny little packing brush, and first try without any Fix Plus or anything to help it stick. You know what? I'm gonna try that with my finger. If you know Natasha Denona, she does a lot with her fingers compared to a lot of makeup artists, but I feel like this is how you get shit all over your face. And blue is a color as well you don't really want to do what I just did. I now have a blue stripe underneath my eye. With that said, be careful. I'm actually gonna grab some of that Orium color that I did just in the middle on this eye with my finger because I want to see what that can do. That is beautiful. Oh, I brought it way too high. Okay, well, never mind. You do really get to see what that can do. That I did that. I am sweeping away fallout. Again, with this brush, I'm grabbing some of Jubilee or Jubeli, I don't know how to pronounce that, but this shade on a now slightly damp brush. I'm getting a small, tiny little pencil brush and grabbing a little bit of that royal shade that's in the middle and going back underneath this eye. Back to the fluffy brush and the deepest brown in the corner. And I'm gonna just pinch the brush so it's very flat. And then blend it out. That looked way more warm than I anticipated. And underneath I am going back into Enigma, which is the really deep marine blue. Okay, I'm going to put some concealer to brighten up underneath. I'm going to get a black shadow and slightly line the top and put some mascara on. And then I'm going to come back and do the inner corners, and then I'm going to tell you what I think. Okay, Metropolis palette from Natasha Denona is right now on Beautylish, so it seems like you can still get it for $129 US. I bought it on Black Friday. I did not pay that much. I think I got it for maybe 92 US dollars, I guess you would say. No, I would have gotten it for around 80 US dollars, which is still a lot of money. It's still a very expensive palette. There are 28 brand new shades that she has put in this. The pans in this are half the size of her 28 pan palettes, of her original 28 pan palettes. So you get half the amount, but she's also cut the price in half. So she has made her shades available to more people than it would have been if she just did the original. However, the pans are still pretty decent sized. This palette is limited edition. You can still get it on Beautylish from what I can see. I do think it's a great way to try her shadows. I do think this or maybe like the Biba palette, I think it is, or these ones that are the 12. Is this 12? No, 15. The 15 pan palettes is also, these are the only two that I own and probably will own for a long time. These are also a great way to, like, in kind of like a pocket size, try her shadows if you still want some of them. She also has those like 5 pan palettes that are just like this. Like they look like these, but they're eyeshadows. And those are also, like, I'm guessing a great way to like try her shadows if you wanted to try her shadows. So from what I noticed using this, I noticed you kind of don't want to blend too much. It's kind of best if you just lay it down and buff it out and then just leave it, because if you blend too much, which is something that I also did with this one on when I wore it for Christmas and New Year's Eve palette is that if you are just sitting doing your makeup and blending for like a really long time, you can kind of almost dull down the shade a little bit and it doesn't appear as bright. So it's probably best to just pack them on, buff them out. Like, it's really quick. And I feel like it looks the best when you do it quick from the little that I've seen, as of like the color payoff and everything. Natasha herself, from what I can see, works a lot with pretty densely packed brushes from the ones that she's put out herself, and a lot with her fingers. So these like really fluffy brushes with like not that much hair on it that I have in use does give you a pretty sheer laydown, but you can definitely build it up because these don't pick up like tons when you put them in. Oh, you can't see at all. But they do lay down color, so take that into consideration. They are very pigmented, and I felt like starting off with something very fluffy, having not that much experience with her shadows, was probably my best bet. I'm definitely going to use the other shades a ton. I'm sure this won't be the last time you see this palette. I will probably use it multiple times again. I was going to talk about the color selection, and it's a kind of rustic, like metallic, because you have these blues and you have some of the red, like these greens, and like you can do like a really good greenish, brownish, rusty. Like there's a lot of like rust towards the greenish side of rust and also towards the red side of rust. Like you have all of those in a spectrum, and I've seen people mention with the color selection that a lot of colors of the matte ones, and also I think some of the shimmery ones, that they look very similar. I guess these two could be seen as like very similar, or these two, because this is a matte and this is a matte. They don't look similar much in this camera, but they do look more similar than in the camera, like to the eye when you're just looking at it. And I mean, to be completely honest, I definitely don't mind. Like these two also look quite alike. However, considering how many shimmers you have in this palette, where you're probably gonna want some type of transition shade, I think you'll get use of them because you have two deeper browns, two lighter warm browns, two like more like skin color-ish on the lighter side blend shades, and then you have the greens and the blues, and then this one that's kind of more of an orange pop. But except for that, those are the transition shades. Why was that so hard to say? Those are the transition shades that you have. And considering the amount of other shades, I do think you're going to use both of them because you're going to need at least another version of that shade to use in every look, like in conjunction with all of the shimmers. So I think that's a way that she has not given you the same shade in a bigger pan, but given you a variation of that shade and also made it more usable for some variations in skin tone there. So I think that's great. And I mean, it's also a personal preference. Like, I love the colors in this palette. I love the feel and the overall look and combination of these colors. I think you can do a lot with all of the different pair-ups and things that you can do with this. So I definitely think that the color story and the mattes compared to shimmers and the somewhat similar ones are justified in the fact of when you look at overall, what are you gonna need in transition shades and mattes used together with all of these shimmers. I mean, to justify the price tag is definitely something that goes to each their own. It's a lot of money. I waited for the Black Friday sale because I did not want to pay the original price tag that was there, and I did get a lot off from that. So the price tag that I paid, I would say, is definitely justified, considering the pigments used, the brushed up pearls, or crushed up like emollients and all of that are in these, you don't really see that kind of shimmer unless it's on like a Viseart level of professional. Maybe it's easier to justify it as like a collector's item. I appreciate the fact that she has done the smaller pants so that it is somewhat like reachable for more people. More people can, if they want to, get it. So I would say that considering how expensive the ingredients are, and I mean, you're also paying for Natasha Denona. Like, you're paying for a name along with great quality and expensive ingredients. I would say that that's somewhat justified, but that's taking in, if you see this as a collector's item, if you see this as, I want to try the shadows and this is the one palette I'm gonna buy because the color story speaks to me and I don't have those colors in my collection and I want them for that reason, go ahead. If you've saved up to get it, or if you want to get it and you have it in your budget, I'm not going to stop you. It's a limited edition palette with, to me, looking at it, great colors, a lot of usable colors, like everyday colors, and if you want it, you can get it. But if you don't want it, you don't need it. You don't need anything when it comes to makeup. You don't actually need anything. But if this is something that you've had your eye on, I'm not going to say the quality falters, because it doesn't. It's a really good palette. From the little looks that I did, I'm not really in love with the way that I've executed either one of these two, which seems to be a thread that keeps going throughout all of my reviews so far. But it doesn't mean that the quality is any different. I do think, as of like how usable it is, obviously depends on what you do every day, but there are a lot of neutral to warm to not so out there shades. Like, there are a lot of somewhat everyday that you can use. So I would actually say that this has really good, what's it called? Usage. That's it. You could actually use it quite a lot, but it also depends on like what's your everyday, what kind of makeup do you normally wear, like what are you comfortable wearing outside. If you're not comfortable with bold looks, I mean, there's some bold colors, but you could definitely not use these three and you would kind of be good. Like, you could tone most of them down, and except for those, there aren't really any that are like, I mean, it's the blue definitely, but if you're like me, that's the one you're pulled towards. There's definitely a lot of occasions where you can use this and do pretty much from everyday almost nothing to very bold and bright. And I would actually say that that's a really good bang for your buck if you're looking for one palette to have and that's it. I haven't tried the stay on this palette because I haven't tried this palette at all before. However, the shades that I have tried in this one did not falter throughout Christmas or New Year's. They looked really good. On New Year's, it was starting to come in some lines, so the stay on these are actually really good, and how they blend and how they perform on the lid is very consistent towards this one. So I would hope that the stay is the same in this one as it was in the Sunset palette. I've already taken up the things that I kind of noticed, which was the blendability is obviously great. But it's a great, for anyone who's in a rush, but sometimes want a bit more bang to their makeup, it's great because you don't have to spend a lot of time blending. You barely have to spend any time blending at all. And if you do spend a lot of time blending and you like to just sit and do your makeup you know, on an everyday basis, and you have lots of time and you want to really spend time on your shadow and blend a lot, and if you usually sit and do your makeup for a long time and you like that process, then maybe get something else, because I do feel like if you blend a little bit too much, if you do blend a bit much or like for too long, you can kind of dull down the colors. So, do I like it? Yes. I already knew that I loved the color scheme. I already knew that I loved like the way that the shadows looked as of colors and what I would usually use and wear. After trying, you know, a few here and there, and also trying this one and noticing that most of this, like the ones I have tried, are comparable and consistent to that one, I genuinely really like the quality of these as well. It is high-end luxury shadows, no doubt about it, but you can tell that that money goes for something because the payoff, the pigment and the blendability of that pigment without turning into mud is actually really good. I created some mud, but that's because I mixed brown and blue. Don't do that. To an extent, you can obviously do that, but I don't think it looks bad. It looks very sharp in the camera. It does not in real life, but I genuinely actually really like this palette. I can't wait to try this. Let's try it on my inner corner, because I just realized I didn't do that. I'm just taking some of that and spritzing it tiny bit. That's a beautiful everyday shade if you like a little bit of a warmer shade. And that was Helena. Is Natasha German? I don't know. Helena? I don't know. And then I'm going to take a little bit of Queen on the other eye, just because I don't want shimmer on one eye, not the other. I mean, they're completely different colors. What would it matter at this point? But more so for myself. Okay, that's a great color. I'm gonna put it a little bit over top of this one as well. That really brightens up. I'm actually, since this is looking so harsh, I'm gonna put some on my brow bone. See, that's beautiful. I don't think you guys can see that at all. I wish she had this as just a highlight. That's really pretty. It's actually bothering me a little bit that that's looking so sharp. So I'm just gonna bring some brown in there. That's a little better. So overall, I really like the palette, and I do think it is worth it. If you can get it on a sale, get it on a sale, because it is a lot of money, and save the coins you can. You don't need it. You don't need any makeup if you don't want it. If you do want it, it's in your budget, get it. That's all for me. I genuinely love the palette. This is not the last time you're gonna see it. I'm going to be wearing it more. I genuinely really love the colors. I'm not sure if I told you how many grams per cost it is. I'm gonna put the details down below, the palette name, a link to the palette, how many grams it is, a cost per gram, all of that interesting stuff. As much as I can, I'm going to leave below in the description. And with that, I'm going to end this video here. I'm going to wash this off and I'm going to go to bed. Actually, I'm going to keep it on for a few more hours and tell you if in like 3 or 4 hours, if I see any change whatsoever, I'm going to put it down below. However, from what I've seen with this one and how the quality pairs up pretty much, I don't doubt that they're going to perform the same in wear time, but I will put it down below how it wears, and if there's blue and green, yellow glitter all over my face in a few hours. I don't think so. I doubt it. Okay, please follow me on my Instagram. It's always down below. Please leave a comment and subscribe if you're new. And that is it for me. I will see you next time. Bye. I mean, I kind of fucked up a little bit.